Hi, Fostu. This is crazy. What happened? This is like the 5,276th time I've tried to record this video, and my phone keeps dying. No. I had the flu. That's true. I did have the flu for 19 months, and I didn't feel like making a video. Plus, I was sick. Not actually also true. I did have the flu, that's true. It did start in January 2015, but it didn't actually last until yesterday. It was about 3 weeks. But what it did was it totally killed my stitchy bug. And I don't even remember. I'd have to go back and look at my Instagram. I did stitch some in the interim. I finished the big pink flower picture and a couple of other little projects, but I don't even remember when I finished those. I probably wrote it down. Well, like I said, I could go check my Instagram. I just said that. How did I forget it in 30 seconds? Obviously, nothing's changed in 19 months. Now I'm like the rest of you. We have a cat now, because the one thing that was missing, this is really why I lost my stitchy bug. I could not continue. I couldn't do another project that did not have Felis catus number 666 domestic short hair orange tabby floss mixed in with it. He's over there being upside down because he just thinks he's the cutest thing. Say hello, Sebastian. You just think you're adorable, don't you? You are such a show-off. And he wants me to play with him, but the second that I do, he's going to claw my hand to shribbins. So I got this thing. Tied a catnip fish on the end of it. There you go. And he really freaks out when you scratch his belly with the stick. Doesn't everybody? So yeah, we got a cat. God, I don't even remember. Oh no, this is right, because that's where the water droplet is. That's how this was much less complete last time you saw it. And that water droplet I love how that came out. That was my favorite thing on this whole project. So getting that framed and finished, and it's going on that wall back there. What haven't I gone over? I have some more quick stuff that I finished. Mrs. Moose, I think I've told you, gets even more senior into management, it seems, every year, and she finds herself in a situation at work quite often wherein somebody even higher up the chain will have some problem with something that's going on somewhere in the organization, and will call to say, what's going on with this? And while Mrs. Moose's purview is over a large part of the organization, quite often it has nothing to do with her part of the organization. She has to redirect that to somebody else. And the phrase she will do that with is, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." So I had a scrap piece of oatmeal cloth, and not a piece of oatmeal. That would be ridiculous. So I just had to stitch that up real quick, and I'm going to frame that, and she can hang it in her office and hand it to people that come looking to blame stuff on her organization. And then, oh, something else that must have happened in the interim while I haven't been doing videos. Was there an Ebola outbreak? It must have been in the news, and maybe it was while I was sick, and I probably joked at the time, you know, I hope I don't have Ebola. But anyway, I was in a mood, I'm sure, because at some point I stitched this, and I'll clean it up because I know some people watch these with their kids, and I'm trying to keep it G-rated. So for those purposes, this might say frog Ebola. I was a naughty moose. I don't know why I had that thought. I don't remember stitching that. Maybe it was a fever dream. I have no idea. So that's the stuff that I have finished. Those littles probably took, you know, a week or two of just, you know, stitching 15-20 minutes a night or something. The flower, I don't know how long. Again, I'll look at Instagram and see if I can figure out how long that took and when I actually finished it, because I should know those details, especially when I'm going to get that piece finished with a fancy frame and all. My other stuff is not right here, so I'm going to pause and go get that. I'm going to finish my tea, and I invite you to, well, don't do anything, because this pause for you is going to be instantaneous. I mean, do what you want. I'm not the boss of you, but whatever. I'm back. Okay, so if you do follow me on Instagram, you've seen the progress on this. This is again a nautical theme piece. I'm looking at one of my others that is hanging on the wall over there, and you've seen these. I think I showed them in my first ever video. I had the one that I stitched on the khaki even weave that had the nautical flags on it, and then I did one that had the points of the compass and a ship's wheel and an elaborate rope thing. But here is the USS Constitution in progress. And where I'm at now is starting on the, here I am, the waves supporting the ship. Right now it's just kind of floating on a sea of cloth, except for those little bits there. And I'm not thrilled. I love how this comes out. All the 3D effect on the sky and on the weight of the sails looks really great in camera. It looks even a lot better than it does in person. But what I'm not thrilled about, well, I'll say this: I wasn't thrilled about until I'm now seeing it on camera, and I can actually see how that effect is going to work. It's funny how sometimes, does that happen to anybody else, where I'm looking at this and I'm not really that impressed, but then I look at it through the camera and I can actually see how good that's going to look? That's a strange effect. Anyway, this portion here, probably can't see any kind of reflectivity, but it's the first time I've used any kind of sparkly treasure braid, and I don't know if I made a mistake in getting the DMC, I think it's DMC satins, or is it something else? I don't have the, oh, the bag with them is way over there, but the it's basically plastic. It's not cotton floss. The chart called for Glissogloss rainbow blending thread, which I guess I made a mistake because I've now seen a couple of other videos that said that that's easier to work with than Krennic, however that's pronounced. I don't know if that is any easier or less easy, harder, more difficult to work with than this DMC metallic-ish looking white stuff. I can see how it's going to do. I mean, the effect is good for being the crest of waves, but man, that stuff is hard to work with. Just, it is not receptive to any way that I want to work with floss at all. So I don't know if there's different tools that I need. I used a needle threader for the first time, but even that was, I don't know. So I need to watch some more technique videos or get some suggestions or something, because that stuff is, whew, that was a nightmare. I also made a mistake in that this is sort of a, not that I'm a rookie, but I may as well be compared to a lot of you with cross stitch in general, even though I've been doing it on and off for 20 years. But certainly a rookie using that blending thread, and the mistake that I made is in following the chart that said blend with 1 strand of cotton floss and 2 of the blending thread. And the chart is also stitched on 14 count, and I'm stitching 2 or over 2 on 28 count. So the holes are much smaller in this, and I was trying to fit all of that stuff through these tiny holes, and that was a disaster. I think for the rest of the, doesn't call for, actually it does. I think a lot of this whole water portion down here, a lot of that calls for some of the blending, and I think I'm just going to blend with 1 strand of floss and 1 strand of blending thread and see if that's a little bit better. If feel free to comment on how I could do that differently in the future. Your opinions on Krennic versus the DMC stuff versus Glisten Gloss. And I guess I have to go. They certainly don't have the Glisten Gloss at either of the big chain stores that I've shopped at. I'll probably have to go to the my LNS that is up near Baltimore, which may as well be on the other side of the moon from here. But we get up there occasionally, so could try that. That's really all I have for whips, is the Constitution right now. I do still have the giant blanket that had in my very first video, I think I showed it, that had the animal pictures on it, and I'll get back to that eventually. I do want to stitch some other little things because I have the urge, now that the Stitchy Bug is back, I have the urge to finish projects. So I'm probably, at the rate that I stitch, probably a month from that upside down picture. And there are some other things. Megan, Stitchy May, sent me it was very sweet, found in a magazine, a moose themed picture, has some other animals in it, and I certainly want to do that. I got some bookmarks that I want to do, and those are just little 2 by 5 inch, 2 by 7 inch little bookmark things, so I want to do some of those. I guess I've devolved into plans here. Didn't really think through what I was going to say. I don't really know what I'm going to do for videos. It's kind of like this. I hope you in any way enjoy this kind of wandering, whatever this is. Let's see. Finishes, whips, plans. As far as videoing plans, I might incorporate some other things that other people do. I don't think I'll ever do like a daily vlog type thing, but I do rather enjoy some people who kind of do that and gather snippets day by day or day by every other day, and then just kind of amalgamate those into like a 2-week or a 1-month long big video and then post that. That might be maybe that's a way. I certainly don't want to take any more huge breaks from doing videos, for my sake and yours, because I certainly do enjoy it. It's you know, nothing has changed with respect to, I don't share this hobby with anybody else locally or really talk to anybody about it. That's, you know, outside the family, really. We don't have neighbors as such. The leaves are falling off the trees now, so you can almost see some other houses, but it's not like I'm in a neighborhood where people stop by or anything. So, if anybody is in the Maryland area and does like stitchy gathering things or something, I'd be keen to do that, just to share this hobby in an IRL. Can I just say in real life? Do I have to abbreviate it? What else did I do in the interim? I keep coming back to this thought that I haven't apologized enough for not doing videos, and I honestly am just so humbled by all the feedback that I've gotten, which, as I've said a million times before, just is really surprising and astounding, and makes me feel a little bit silly, and it truly is simultaneously heartwarming and yet heartbreaking every time you know, the longer it went without doing a video, I felt worse about not doing videos. And apparently, not so much has happened in the... What has happened since I last did floss tube? Cat update. He's still upside down, still covered in string, and is now asleep. Maybe he's not completely asleep, but he's close. And he just does not even care that he is covered in his string toy. What has happened in the interim, besides getting a cat? Let's see, was the Higgs boson discovery, was that in 2014? I don't remember. I should have those dates memorized. Oh, I went to a Foo Fighters concert. I'm supposed to say that was the 4th best day of my life. Interpret that how you will. Yeah, that was truly, truly fantastic. It was while Dave had just broken his leg. I knew, here's 20 years, I finally get tickets to go to a Foo Fighters concert, and 3 weeks before, Dave Grohl falls off a stupid stage and breaks his leg. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, that sucks he broke his leg, but come on! I mean, seriously? To his credit, he not only finished the concert in which he broke his leg, but then he only canceled like a week of shows. I think like all the big summer festivals in England or something was what he was supposed to do. So he only disappointed like 9 million people, but they got to see other stuff. You know, Florence and the Machine filled in, which was great, I'm sure, for Reading or Glastonbury or wherever that was. But after that, he got back to the US and finished doing the shows. I saw him technically in New Jersey. It's really kind of suburban, not suburban, but like Metro Philadelphia. Not great in the area of critical commentary on Foo Fighters songs. The Foo Fighters songs were great. The audio in the Camden, was some kind of, every center is a bank center. It was something bank center, and the audio wasn't fantastic, but it was good enough. Let's see. What else has happened? Besides like 500 days going by. maybe more than that. Oh, gravity waves. Gravity waves were confirmed. I know that's happened. I know that's been in the interim. And if you're horrified that I'm about to go into quantum physics or astrophysics or something like that, I promised myself I wouldn't, and I'm not going to. If I go off on a moose trail on anything, it will either be philosophy, or I've been reading a lot of like the history of technology, which is just fascinating. You going back to, well, really going back to the early philosophers. There was like ethical philosophy, which is what we call philosophy now, and then there was natural philosophy, which turned into physics. It always comes back to physics, doesn't it? Not going there. But what was I going to say about philosophy and history of technology? Oh yeah, that they kind of coincided with like there's starting back then. Not an English major. And a lot more interesting probably technology history is more recent, like going back to like Babbage's, Charles Babbage, I think his name was Charles Babbage in the 1800s, his calculating machine, and then I have Einstein in mind. I guess one of the books I was reading was kind of the history of Princeton and how much work was being done at Princeton, and Einstein was a professor there at the same time, and this could totally take a left turn. That's a right turn. Left turn into astrophysics or quantum theory, and I'm not going to. What will I talk about? Artificial intelligence. That is fascinating. There were a bunch of movies out lately where the rise of the machines is, Skynet becoming self-aware. They're trying so hard to make that happen. We're so close to Jeff Bezos's dream where life is Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think that's really why he started Amazon, because he didn't want to sell you stuff. He wanted to make billions and billions of dollars and have a company so he could invent a way that he could walk into a room and go, computer, turn on the lights. Computer, play Berlioz. Computer, play fantasy program Holodeck Picard 3. Whatever. That's where they're getting to. And you're here at the beginning. Let's see. Virtual reality is going in that direction. AI, as I mentioned. I've done some freelance tech work for Amazon, and a lot of it, they don't really tell you what you're doing. You're just doing tasks. But you can tell that a lot of what you're doing is trying to teach computers what things are. And I'm here to tell you, if you're worried about Skynet really becoming self-aware in 2019 or whenever it was supposed to have happened, no, that's 2019 is that's Blade Runner. And I don't think Los Angeles is quite to that level yet either. If it is, the replicants that did all the havoc in Blade Runner were made this year, I think. So yeah, that's not happening. Computers are so bad at stuff that we do as humans. It's going to be it will be 200 years before a computer can cross stitch. I'm here to tell you. They could put Watson and Deep Blue together with the best replicant robot. I just heard a door creak in the back of my house, and now I'm worried that they're coming down the hall for me. The computers are just not there. Tea break. Doctor Who disappearing TARDIS mug. My tea's cooling off, so the TARDIS is coming back. How cool is that? The bad puns haven't changed. Never will. No regrets. Where was I going with artificial intelligence? I had a thought. Oh, Alan Turing. There have been, speaking of artificial intelligence and the history of technology, there have been a bunch of documentaries and movies about his involvement in World War II, and I don't know, I don't think there's a more fascinating person when it comes to the history of technology. More, tragic and misunderstood because he lived in what was, arguably a barbaric time just 50 some years ago, no, 70 some years ago. But yeah, Alan Turing, if you've seen The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, it was about how he cracked the Enigma code, the Enigma machine that the Nazis or German side Axis used to encode their messages. And by cracking that code, we were able to win the war and save millions of lives. And so he was central to that. And he developed the universal Turing machine. I think that was even prior to World War II. He had several obsessions where he would... one was with the concept of artificial intelligence and imbuing machines with consciousness. The Turing test. If you've heard of the Turing test, wherein if you are typing a conversation, say on a screen where you're not looking at a physical person, but if you were communicating by computer with another entity, if you can't tell whether or not you're speaking with a human or a computer, then if it is a computer, that computer is said to have passed the Turing test. What else? The tragic side of his life, he was, as Stephen Fry would put it, he was enthusiastically homosexual. He was out amongst his friends, but not in public because it was against the law. In fact, he was prosecuted actually, and convicted, and probably led to his suicide. If it was a suicide, there's still some question. If you want to go down another rabbit hole, just Google that sometime. But he was obsessed with the Disney movie Snow White and the Story of the Poison Apple, which came out shortly before his death, and that sort of informs his death. His work is the subject of obsessions by current computer people. Well, Steve Jobs has passed away, but he was, because his work is kind of developed the way that computers think now, he was a source of fascination for people like Steve Jobs and Wozniak and the Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. I don't know, all those tech guys. But probably especially Steve Jobs. And this will all tie together very neatly, maybe, but I think it's pretty likely. So, Alan Turing, very central to the development of how computers think, even to this day. Okay? He was obsessed with Snow White and the Poison Apple, and in fact, when he died, was discovered with an apple with the bite taken out of it that had been laced with cyanide, and he died of cyanide poisoning. So whether he was murdered or whether he killed himself because he was distraught at how he had been treated remains under some discussion, whatever. But forever, Alan Turing will be, the man who is essential to how computers think, will forever be associated with an apple with a bite taken out of it. And I invite you now, if you have a MacBook or an iPhone, to turn it over and look at the logo of that computer thing. I don't know, I find that fascinating. By way of further apology, I think I should just bracket this whole thing with apologies for the incredibly long break and not doing videos without any real sort of announcement of having taken a break, but that's life, isn't it? In my horrible Jim Broadbent, Harry Potter, and the Half-Blood Prince accent. You're just going along and poof. And that's kind of what happened with Stitchy Bug and Video Bug and all of that. Where was that thought going? God, I'm just like a theater for the deranged over here. Oh, thanks. Seriously, thank you. Because I'm certain how I got my Stitchy Bug back was deciding, I haven't looked at FlossTube videos in a long time. The playlist that Wonderfully Hopeless curates, playlists now I should say, because the one had gone from 500-ish videos to 5,000, which I guess is a cap because now a new list has started, so I'm working my way through those 200 or so. And I'm through the middle of October, so I'm almost caught up, and then I'm also watching them as they come out. So kind of now is over here, and middle of October is over here, and they're doing this. That's a really weird visual, but that's what's happening. And yeah, so I'll eventually be caught up. Where was this going? Oh, just saying that that's really how I got my Stitchy Bug back, was just seeing it. It's how it intensified my enjoyment of the hobby when I first found the videos and started seeing all these techniques, and it really took my stitching to a weird hobby I did off and on over years, and just worked on one project for like 10 years and didn't know how to finish the back or anything. So that really got me into it a couple of years back when I first found FlossTube community, and now it has kind of re-energized me with 10 times the number of videos that existed before, and I can't begin to elucidate or thank you individually. I'll do shout outs when I think of individual things that speak out to me from your videos, but really to the entire community. I'm trying to subscribe and watch as many videos as I possibly can, but there's probably too many now even to watch every minute of every one, and you would need, this could go into physics and quantum theory and alternate universes, but really wouldn't it be great to have like a little pocket universe that you could go into, and time operates differently in there, and you just go in there and do all your stitchy stuff and make or watch as many FlossTube videos as you wanted to, and then you could come back out to the horrible real world. Oh, that was dark. These are dark times, are they not? That was also dark. No offense to Wonderfully Hopeless, who is wonderfully hopeless, but we shouldn't all be hopeless. We should have hope. And at the risk of sounding facetious, which I realize can happen sometimes when I'm speaking, it's really not. I think we should have hope regardless of how you feel about, I should insert a big warning talking about politics here. Regardless of how you feel about everything that's going on, either in this country or another, I think hope springs eternal. Is that the trite phrase I'm going for here? Yes, that's about it. I'm looking at some kind of random notes I had here. Did I capture everything that top of my head, that I wanted to? I can almost see that far. Oh, I did have one particular little shout out thing that I saw in a video that made me smile and made me think. Purple frog stitches. That's what I wrote down. I hope that's the correct name. Was doing a floss tube video and just kind of recording, and she has some young children who were not in the video, but she was trying to do her recording, and she was saying something like, oh, there was a challenging part. I know why this originally stuck to me, because I'm working on this project and I was really struggling, just starting to struggle with this stupid treasure braid blending thread stuff. And I mean, just tear your hair out kind of frustration with this, as I was first figuring out how hard it was to load the needle and pull it through the fabric. And she said words to the effect of, you know, at the end of it, your work's going to come out and it'll be gorgeous. But it doesn't mean that, in the meantime, there are parts that are going to be tedious if you're just doing a lot of, repetitive, the same color, or there's a portion with a frustrating different type of knot or floss that you're using. Just parts of it are really going to try your patience, but at the end, it's all going to work out. And at that moment, her children needed attention of some sort, such that she had to pause the video. And I thought, well, what a great corollary that was to parenting. Because or you hope, and I'm going through this now because my sons are now both, as of yesterday, 18 and over. So they've turned out great. Certainly were tedious parts of that whole process. But that's true. You kind of, or you hope that your kids are going to turn out great at the end. Not at the end, but as they mature into adults. But man, the process can just be tedious. And so if you're among the younger of our community, and maybe you don't have kids yet, but you're thinking about it, or you've been putting it off because you're not sure you're ready, if you've completed a huge project with tedious parts and it came out, you're ready for parenting. It's really the same. Plus diapers.